So alternatives to credit cards. So one is have the cash available before you spend it. I've just recently become a bit of a fan of Profit First from Mike Michalowicz, and I've probably said that name incorrectly. But this whole idea of not spending money you don't have, but also making sure that when you get your revenue coming in, you're setting aside the profit, you're setting aside those key expenses into separate buckets, or whether that be separate bank accounts, or ideally separate bank accounts. So that money is reserved from your revenue, reserved to pay those expenses as and when they fall due, which is a great strategy. And I think the thing that really caught me when hearing about this for the first time is introduced by talking about the size of dinner plates back in the 60s being 8.5 inches, I think it was, whereas they're now 11.75. But people still think they have to fill the whole dinner plate. So most businesses operate that they've got the whole dinner plate and they can spend the whole lot. Whereas if you take a smaller dinner plate as what you're going to spend and use the rest as your profit and set that aside, you tend to be a bit more mindful about where you're spending and a lot more cautious about just pulling out the card or even the debit card and paying for stuff that you don't really need.
That's right. Yeah. So let's face it, we're collecting that GST, and I bet most Australian businesses do not have a tax account.
Yeah, I rarely see a tax account. I rarely see a business now with more than one bank account, and everything is going through that account, and there's nothing being set aside. So often a business owner might look at it and say, hey, I've got 50 grand sitting in my bank account. I need another 10 or 15. It'd be lovely to put that off and pay for my holiday. But what they haven't allowed for is the GST. They haven't allowed for the super guarantee. They haven't allowed for PAYG withholding.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, then they've got this shortfall and they can't pay the tax when it falls due, which then opens up another issue with issues with the ATO and perhaps a director penalty notice being issued.
Yeah, and nobody wants to get one of those. And that I don't want to go too far off topic here, Paul, but what we're starting to see now is the ATO is back on director penalty notices. So if you're not in a payment arrangement, you're not communicating, you do get a director penalty notice and you are personally on the hook for that tax debt.